media is crashing out right now. We have LeBron versus Stephen A. We have Charles Barkley versus Kendrick Perkins and Draymond Green spreading misinformation. You guys, there is so much going on, so let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Today, we have got to talk about all that's going on in NBA media, and unfortunately, it's not much basketball. It's just a whole lot of drama, but let's jump into it. So there was a video that was going viral last night at the Lakers game. Stephen A. Smith was courtside, and it seems like LeBron comes up to him and checks him for something. So here's the video if you guys want to check it out. Legend of Winning posted it, and he said, "Damn, LeBron stepped to Stephen A. Smith." Now, obviously, the internet took hold of this. People were trying to lip read what LeBron said. And of course, Stephen A. being Stephen A., he does not run from controversy. He doesn't run from any sort of spotlight that could be on him. So he addressed what exactly happened on First Take this morning. Here is what he had to say. He said, "That was LeBron James making sure that I mind what I say about Bronny. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father." Now, he went on to talk about his takes of Bronny, how much he has talked about Bronny, and he basically said, "Listen, Bronny's a huge story. I haven't actually been criticizing Bronny that much. I've been criticizing you more," being LeBron. He said he had been criticizing LeBron more for the fact that he didn't feel like Bronny was ready to be in this situation. Of course, you guys, we have heard Stephen A. Smith talk about Bronny so much, but what media hasn't? If you guys don't remember, that was pretty much the biggest story at the beginning of this NBA season. It's the first ever father-son duo in the NBA. It's a really cool moment. That was so much of what the NBA media was focusing on, and a lot of people were anticipating seeing how Bronny would perform in the NBA. Now, Stephen A. Smith is not one to ever bite his tongue about criticisms about different players, about how he actually feels about what's going on. He does not run from drama, and he does not bite his tongue when it comes to talking about pretty much anyone, and that includes LeBron and Bronny. Now, how he ended this little soliloquy on First Take, he also said that people in LeBron's team, Maverick Carter, people around LeBron do have Stephen A.'s number, and so he kind of wondered why they didn't reach out to him and set up something so the two could talk. He said that this didn't have to happen courtside, but what I will say on that is, like, I don't think as a woman I will fully understand men and how they handle conflict and their egos, and these are two people, LeBron and Stephen A., who have big egos, and rightfully so. They are both at the top of their fields. I don't know, even if they did have a conversation on the side, if something like this wouldn't happen at some point in time. I feel like that's not my place to say whether it should have happened courtside or it should have happened behind closed doors. That's just a man thing that I probably will never understand. Now, I do want to mention the fact, however, that on Stephen A.'s podcast, so this is not an ESPN show, this is his own show where he talks about whatever he wants, he actually called out Clutch Sports for having contacted them and telling him to cool it on the Bronny comments, because there was a time where Stephen A. was talking about Bronny a lot. And supposedly someone from Clutch reached out to him and he called them soft and said, "You know who you are. This is me doing my job. I'm being critical. This is what I always do." Now, I do want to read some comments of what the internet has to say, because so many people have chimed in on this. Some people are on LeBron's side saying, like, finally somebody told Stephen A. to his face. Other people are on Stephen A.'s side saying that LeBron is soft. It's the media's job to criticize, and the fact that he went out of his way was just too much. Somebody said, "With respect, if LeBron doesn't like the conversation around Bronny's play, then they shouldn't have decided to rush him into the league that fast. Should have let him develop in college rather than the NBA." Somebody else said, "He needs to run up on Skip too, just saying." Somebody else said, "LeBron should know better. Just simply ignore Stephen A. Everything he says is clickbait." And that was also something that I saw on Twitter. People were like, Stephen A. Smith running to First Take because LeBron just gave him his next segment. And it's so true. With this exchange, I do think obviously it would have been better behind closed doors because there wouldn't have been that much drama. But because of this exchange, because somebody captured it on camera, this is going to be the top of the week. All of the media now, and including us, like we're talking about it on this show, everybody now has more ammo to talk about LeBron, to talk about Bronny, to also talk about Stephen A. And the thing with Stephen A is like, he's highly criticized. Like, he is a controversial figure in media, but he is one of the top people in sports media. Whether you like it or not, the bad things people have to say about him, the good things people have to say about him, it's still, in the end, it's a win for Stephen A. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, he is still winning because this is what's drawing in ratings to ESPN. Everybody wanted to know how Stephen A. Smith was going to respond to this interaction. And with that, it was also just announced this week that Stephen A. Smith just signed a new contract with ESPN worth $100 million over 5 years. Stephen A. Smith will continue to focus on First Take and scale back some of his other network appearances. And he'll also be more free to talk politics on other platforms. And there was also this clip that was going viral, and a lot of people were saying that Stephen A. Smith might run for president in 2028, which would be actually insane. I know that we have like so much crazy things that go on in American politics right now, but seeing Stephen A. Smith on a ballot would just, I'm sorry, that would just be so insane. But this is what he said on The Tonight Show when he hinted at running for president in 2028. He said, and I'm saying, wait a minute now, I don't want to do this, but the fact that they're talking about me in this way, I must say, I approve this message. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he doesn't run for president, but I could definitely see Stephen A. Smith getting more involved in politics and kind of expanding beyond sports. The man loves the talk. The man has been on television for so many years, and he's now getting paid. I think he's the third highest paid sports media personality in the business, $100 million for 5 years. So you guys let me know in the comments, which side are you on? Are you on LeBron's side? Are you on Stephen A's side? Do you think both of them are maybe being a little bit dramatic on this situation? Definitely let me know. But moving on, I want to talk about the next beef that we have. I'm sorry, some of this stuff is just so funny, you guys. I cannot help but laugh because it's just, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny. Like, it's not that serious to me, but it's kind of funny seeing these guys fight. So we have Charles Barkley calling out Kendrick Perkins live on TNT. I want to play you a little clip here. I'm not going to put the visual up, but I want you to hear what he had to say. I love the TNT guys. I think they're hilarious. But here is what Chuck had to say.
I saw a fool idiot on TV talking about the Lakers save the NBA.
Save the NBA?
Yeah. He's an idiot and a fool, but he know who he is. What's his name, Shaq?
Which one are you talking about?
Kendrick Perkins.
Oh.
He said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. He basically goes on to say, I think firstly, it is hilarious because he calls out Kendrick Perkins and he calls out ESPN, and TNT, this Inside the NBA, will be going to ESPN next season because obviously the NBA rights are not with TNT anymore. This show will be going to ESPN. He will be co-workers with Kendrick Perkins. ESPN will be producing this show. He is calling out that network. He went on to say, I want all the smoke. The Lakers are doing great. Y'all are idiots because y'all talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time. Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cavs have been balling for 6 months. He also went on to say, which again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing throughout this whole video, but this is funny to me. He said the only people who talk about LeBron James and Michael Jordan is people on television who got no talent to talk about anything else. I ain't hanging on to the 90s. And I feel like that was also a little bit of shade because there has been GOAT discussions lately on ESPN. It does seem like a weird and random time to be having that. Also, Kai Cenat was also on First Take and he was having the GOAT debate with Stephen A. Smith. And so shout out to Kai, like great for him to, be getting on more mainstream network type of things. But I feel like Chuck totally has a point here because this LeBron or MJ debate is so wild. And I actually have firsthand, I don't know if experience is the right word, but when Courtside Club was with ESPN during season 1 of the show, I would do interviews, and if LeBron or LeBron versus Jordan, if any of those sort of things would come up, they would title my Courtside Club episode that. They would just title it LeBron versus Michael Jordan. If you guys didn't know, for Courtside Club season 1, if you watch any of those episodes on ESPN, like I didn't have any say in the titles or the thumbnails for those videos. They kind of just did whatever they want that they thought would get clicks. And so like I kind of have firsthand experience of how much they love pushing LeBron and Jordan and the GOAT debate and and those sort of things. So he's right in a sense. They do talk about it a lot. Now, Stephen A. Smith jumped in here, even though he wasn't the one who was called out. And he said, "Yo, Chuck, stop the BS with the y'all. Attach a name to it. I know I've been talking about Cavs being #1 threat to the Celtics. Once you come over here, there's going to be some folks waiting to call you a fool. P.S. You know I love you, though. See y'all soon. And yo, Kenny the Jet Smith, work out those free throws. Love y'all." So he kind of took a lighthearted approach to this. Now, Kendrick Perkins did not love what Chuck had to say. And here is what he had to say on Twitter. He said, "Hey, NBA on TNT, might want to tell that senior citizen Charles Barkley that I'll be around. When he see an idiot or fool in person, make sure he keep that same energy. He can complain with me if he want to, and I'ma address his butt like the numbers on a house. Straight from the 409 homeboy. And we bar none and fade all. Hashtag Texas boy." Now, he didn't stop there, you guys. He said, "The idiot is headed on SportsCenter to talk all Lakers. They said LeBron and Luka couldn't play together, but their play say otherwise. They said we're going to be crying in the morning talking about the Lakers. They're wrong again. Gotta show love to the 40-year-old Bron who basically locked up Cat tonight. Carry on. Hashtag I actually watch basketball." Firstly, Chuck says a lot of stuff, and he calls people idiots all the time. I'm on the outside of this. It's funny to me. I don't think everything all the time needs to be addressed, but the fact that all of these grown men are beefing with each other, they're beefing with each other because they're talking about other grown men playing a sport. Like, if you take a step back and look at it like that, it's hilarious. None of this is that serious. However, I do think that Charles Barkley has a point, because I think a lot of, the discussions that we've had this year about the NBA ratings, about who's the next face of the NBA, what happens when LeBron and Steph do retire, I think that there does have to be a happy medium, because I do think that we should appreciate the players that LeBron and Steph Curry are, and they are entering their final years on the court, and we should be covering that. We should be talking about it. We should be celebrating those big moments. However, there are teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, like the Cavs, who are playing incredible basketball, who are going to be, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a Donovan Mitchell, players like that are going to be the ones who we are covering over the next few years. So if you are on ESPN and you're so worried about the ratings, and you say that you're the #1 program, you actually have the power to change narratives, the power to cover certain players. If you have the most people, this is what Stephen A. says. He says they are #1 for a reason, because they know what the fans like and they know how to get the ratings. Okay, well, you have the chance right now with this audience that you have to introduce them to other players, to hype up these other players and these other teams, to talk about them in a way. If you have the fan base there, they're gonna tune in. Chuck has a point. Maybe he's not 100% right, but the reaction from the other side is funny, and I'm actually interested to see how Inside the NBA changes next season, if they're still going to be able to be as just like open and free with what they say on television like they were on TNT, because these guys just say the wildest things sometimes. We'll have to see, but there's the update there. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about, Draymond Green was on his podcast, and he was talking about the reason why Karl Anthony Towns did not play in the game against the Golden State Warriors. And he said some would say he didn't play because Jimmy was in the building. They said Cat ain't play because Jimmy came to town. However, the problem is that Karl Anthony Towns was at a close friend's funeral on Tuesday. His girlfriend's close friend died of cancer, actually. And so that is probably, I don't know for sure, I don't want to spread misinformation, but that is likely why he was not playing. It was because of that. And when it's something where it's really personal like that, when it's a death in the family, that's something that you should be more sensitive of. These players at the end of the day are still humans. And so a lot of people came at him for that and said, how could you say something like that without doing some sort of research? Now, on the flip side, Chris Broussard, he also went on television, and let me find the exact quote here. He also went on television and said there's a rumor out there. Draymond said it on his podcast. Draymond said the word is he didn't want to play against Jimmy Butler. So then Chris Broussard, on top of that, didn't do his research as well and just took what Draymond had to say, and then he said it on ESPN. Now, fans went wild about this, and then Draymond was actually asked about it. And so here is what he had to say.
You've seen the reaction today to your comments about Cat?
No,
And are you aware of what the circumstances were in
no,
absence?
no.
It was-
What's the circumstance?
Apparently, he said he was at a funeral for a family friend.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. But my comments that I made was what I heard was this. And that's what I heard. So I do, send my well wishes to him and his family. None of us, it's inevitable. We all experience death in one way or another, and we'll all experience it in the same way one day. So it's unfortunate. You never wish that on anybody, but the Draymond Green show with Baron Davis must go on.
So that was his response there, and fans also didn't love that. And I will say I've interviewed Draymond Green before on shows that I've done with the NBA, and he's always been lovely. I don't think Draymond Green's a bad guy, but this was also not a good look. I feel like when it's a circumstance that is as touchy and as sensitive as a death in the family, I feel like you can easily take that back. There's no reason to stand 10 toes down on something that you heard that you don't know is factual. Like, he could have just said, that's my bad. That's what I heard, but I apologize. And he did say, I want to send him well wishes. I didn't know about that, but just the tone and the way it came across definitely wasn't a good look. And I feel like it's a cautionary tale to media in general. And that's something I hope with this show, I try my very best not to spread false news. And if I'm not sure about something, I also try to let you guys know I'm not sure about it. And so I feel like with this, this was a little bit of a messy situation. We just have to do better. I think media in general has to do a little bit better. I think all of the stories that I've told you guys today, media in general has to do a little bit better. But those are my updates, you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this. Of course, thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it, and click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And with that, you guys, I'll see you next time. Ooh,